Hey guys, so this is actually gonna be a vlog of what it's like working on ICU nights. Now, I started recording last night, however, there was just no time. It was a terrible vlog. I mean, the whole time I was busy doing stuff and it just wasn't good. So I'm gonna record one tomorrow and that's probably the one I'm gonna post. So anyways, yeah, enjoy that. I'm gonna get into that one now. As always, stay tuned for the rest of this video and I really hope you enjoy. Hey, what's up guys? ZMD here. Excited to be here for another video. Today we're actually gonna be doing something a little different. I'm gonna be taking you guys with me on an ICU night, and right now we're in the process of getting ready and we're gonna go ahead and let's go to sign out. Let's go to the hospital, guys. So basically the way that this works is I'm about to go to a sign out. So the day team is gonna sign out all their patients to me and a couple of the other residents that are working on ICU nights. And once we receive sign out, we then start getting admissions, whether there are patients who are upgraded from the floors or they're coming in from the emergency room. So anyways, it's a 12-hour shift, 7 to 7, but by the time we get home, it's probably like 8 in the morning. So I'm gonna take you guys on a little adventure with me, and you can get a sneak peek of what it is like to be in the life of a resident working in ICU on nights. Hi, man. So by and large, ICU nights, it's been pretty busy, but it doesn't have to always be that way. It's kind of hit or miss, to be honest. And some nights are a lot busier than others. Sometimes you have 8 hours of just constant stuff going on in which you don't have a minute to even like sit down or catch your breath. But then sometimes on nights, you know, it calms down and it's peaceful, it's relaxing. I kind of like nights in that the hospital is kind of more quiet. You don't have to deal with as much social work, you know. It's mostly only the critical things you kind of have to deal with and all. But nah, man, it's been good. So here we are, we're pulling into the parking lot. Let me see here. Now I gotta be careful because I can't really show too much stuff because of all these like HIPAA laws, and so anything that involves patient information or stuff like that, I gotta be super cautious about. So I have to make sure, like when I edit this, like through all the editing, I have to make sure that there's nothing in this that is obviously confidential. So, but anyways, yeah. So let's go ahead and let's go to sign out. All right, guys. So we are here after sign out. Typically, what I do at this time of the day is we start going over orders that need to be done or following up on different studies that the day team left for us. For instance, monitor a hemoglobin, make sure your patients aren't, having any complications. It's really common for things to come up in the nighttime, so it's better to see and follow up on things that can be done early. That way you can I always like to get things done that can be done, like orders and things like that, put those in right away before doing anything else, because it's really easy for things and tasks to build up really quickly as well. So right now, we've gotten 2 admissions, so both of my intern residents have gone down to see those, and I will be up next. We kind of go in a round-robin fashion. We talk about the admissions, and then we staff them with our attendings. Typically after this, what we'll do is we'll start rounding on all the units. So we've got 4 different ICU, neurosurgical ICU, surgical ICU, and then 2 medical ICUs. And we try to split those up. Right now I'm caring for the neurosurgical ICU as well as the surgical ICU patients, and they're gonna have medical ICU. And so basically we're gonna go around, look at our patients, make sure everyone's doing okay, see if there's anything else that needs to be done, any other orders to follow up with, labs, things of that nature. So yeah. Also, it's always important, water. Hydration is everything, and I got some coffee right here, which is kind of the opposite, but it's gonna help you get through the night. So with that, let's go ahead and get started on our tasks. So I think in general, lately with COVID, it's been a lot busier in the ICU setting. Again, ICU, you have crazy situations that come out of nowhere when you least expect them. Patients decompensate very quickly. Sometimes you have you've got to attend all the codes and a lot of the times the rapid responses that are held in the hospital, which are basically like they have a rapid response team which goes and assesses the patient. Okay, is everything okay? Or what do we need to do? Do we need to upgrade the patient for further care at IMC or ICU? Things like that. And so I'm kind of in communication with a lot of those people too, like the charge nurses, the rapid teams, and some of the floor team people upstairs who are on medicine who feel a patient needs to be upgraded to the ICU. So I see is that warranted at this point, and so we kind of do all this type of stuff. Yeah. All right, guys, just got back from this rapid response. We're upgrading this patient to the ICU. And so his potassium was pretty high. He's a dialysis patient, and for some reason he didn't get it today. So we kind of did some things to temporize that potassium because it causes heart arrhythmias, and that's actually what happened in this guy. He went into some sustained VTAC, which is a heart rhythm that can be pretty dangerous if not addressed. So gave him some insulin, some other things to stabilize the heart, like the calcium. And at this point, I'm just gonna work on my note. Patient's gonna be upgraded to the ICU, and we'll keep an eye on him. All right, guys, so just saw that patient. We upgraded him to the ICU, like I mentioned. Now he is basically gonna get dialysis, and otherwise he's pretty stable. And I'm getting another call, so give me a sec. So throughout this whole COVID situation, I think one of the things that I would say is that I have a lot of appreciation for the ICU doctors. And just working in the ICU, and especially like medical ICU, you have so many unstable patients. Obviously with COVID, it's an intensely difficult medical problem once the patient is already intubated, meaning once you have a breathing tube, things are a lot more difficult, and they can quickly decompensate after that. So yeah, I mean, it's like I have a lot of respect for people out there in the healthcare fields who have done a lot to, I guess you would say, even put their own lives on the line. They've been a lot of healthcare workers who have gone in, worked hard, no PPE, and still put in so much of their own effort, and so many of their lives have been lost during this whole thing. So I think that they deserve a lot of respect, gratitude. All right, so we're basically about to round, I would say, in a few minutes. We're gonna go through all the ICUs. Obviously I can't film that portion because of patient privacy, HIPAA laws, all that kind of stuff. So I'll get back with you guys after that. Right now it is 11 o'clock. We've gotten 3 admissions so far, and yeah, let's see what the rest of the night holds for us. Okay, we're walking back to the lounge. Nope. Okay, so now it's 2 o'clock and we're walking down the hall here. We just lectured with our night attending on God, my head is so tired. Oh, man. What did we lecture on? We did it on mechanical ventilation, like BiPAP, AVAPs, BiPAP, a bunch of breathing stuff that is important in ICU patients on mechanical ventilation. Hey guys, so currently it is about 4:30 now. And I think one of the messages that I think I have a moment to breathe now. I got all my orders in. I've reviewed, all my patients' lab checks. A lot of the times we get called about things like, oh, so-and-so patient is agitated, or they're pulling at the vent. Can we get like soft restraints for like a temporary period as well? So those are a lot of the things you have to deal with. And our census is like 40 something, and there's about 3 of us covering that. So with medical ICU patients, typically you have a lot of things going on and things can change very quickly. Needless to say, it can get very busy. It's kind of like one of those things where up until I'd say about 2 o'clock, we were super busy. Then after that, had kind of a moment to slow down, not as many admissions, after that. And we've been able to review our patients' labs, go over some other things. make sure all of our orders are in, followed up on other studies. So one question is, are we on night shift? Are we able to actually get any sleep? The answer is no, resounding no. Never. You might have moments where you're not as busy, but typically you're gonna get a call, you're gonna get a text or something like that from someone needing to be seen, and a lot of these patients are very critical. So most of the time you have to get up and go see them, and you have to be, next to the computer. And the way that we do it where I'm at, we actually round twice in the night. So we make our first rounds when we get here, like after a couple hours, like we'll go check up on everybody, make sure we know a plan, put in some orders. Then we, obviously during the whole process, we get admissions. And then, right now, for instance, I have like a breather. I mean, I'm okay. There's, nothing going on at this time, but we're actually in a little bit going to go ahead and round again in our morning rounds. And we update a sign out that we then provide to day team and say, look, so the purpose of the night team is essentially, what kind of changes were there overnight? Were there any major adverse effects of medication? Was there any major changes to plan? Did patients decompensate anymore? Did anything crazy happen? I think one of the things I would say about the medical ICU and ICU doctors in particular is that I think it's really cool that, a lot of subspecialties, you focus on one thing. But I think what's really cool about ICU docs and ICU in general is that you're the one managing the whole body. You're not just thinking about the brain, you're not just thinking about the heart, not just the kidneys, or you're not just thinking about the lungs. It's the whole system, and I think that's really cool because you're kind of like the true core doctor that can kind of have a little bit of say in how this whole patient is getting better, hopefully. So it requires a large amount of knowledge, I think, as well, because you have to be able to be quick to spot, especially when these patients, they become really sick really quick in the ER. So being quick to respond to codes and just trying to come up with a really quick differential of what could be going on with your patient and being able to address those things promptly, respond to those things. You also have to think of things outside the box. Yeah, I hope you guys have gotten a little bit of a sneak peek. I really wish I could show you, more and go into the units and kind of talk about different things that patients are on. I'll tell you, so why does someone go to the ICU? That's a common question. Okay, so ICU care, intensive care unit, is designed for patients who basically are critically ill, or they're, immediately post-op of let's say an intense procedure or something like brain surgery, things like that, and they require critical care. So for instance, these types of, the nurses that work here are a lot more attentive to each patient, although they have much less patients because there's so much they have to do for each one. They're on usually a host of drips or things to try to keep their blood pressure going. There's, shock is a very large thing, and that's one of the main reasons patients come into the ICU. Shock is your blood pressure is low, your body's not able to get blood to your major organ systems, and so we have to find ways to put you on medication so that we can fix that for the time being. And a lot of the time it's temporary till you fix the underlying cause. You have to figure out, what's going on, what's the reason of the shock, and that's the big thing with ICU. What's the reason the patient is presenting the way they're presenting? So you do all the temporizing measures, and then ultimately you try to get to the root of the problem so that you can correct it. The other aspect of really important patient care is teamwork and camaraderie. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but in something like the medical ICU, oftentimes you'll have a lot of subspecialties seeing the same patient so that each one can kind of contribute what they think is going on. So your patient's kidneys may have shut down, they're on hemodialysis, and as the nephrology team is giving their recommendations on what they think can best help the kidney. If a patient's heart is going through a lot of stress, or there's heart failure, or there's coronary artery disease, you can get a cardiologist that's gonna, try to figure out what he can do. If there's a GI bleed, you have gastroenterology, you have general surgery that goes and tries to take care of anything like acute abdomen, or if there's a surgical bowel obstruction, or there's a perforation in the abdomen, things like that. You also have a lot of other subspecialties, hematology, you have neurosurgery. At our facility, we take care of a lot of the post-op neurosurgical patients as well. So definitely a large variety of cases, and you get more comfortable the more you do it. It's just like anything else. The most of the things I talk about on my channel are about self-improvement, getting your confidence right, being the best version of yourself, and it's kind of one of those things. It's I think one of the things that I mentioned in a video in the past was if you want to be the best version of yourself and you want to be the most confident, get good at whatever it is that you do, and you want to do something that challenges you to an extent, because with the challenge, you have to overcome adversity. Overcoming adversity gives you a ton of confidence, and that confidence, you'll notice, is going to translate to a lot of other aspects of your life. The other thing I want to say is, like, don't do things, and I might have a few of you disagree with me, but I would say don't do things that for you are too easy. And the reason I say that, let me explain what I mean by that. By choosing a task that you find to be very easy or that you don't feel like is challenging you, you're not gonna be fulfilled. There's not gonna be a part of you that's essentially gonna feel like you have purpose. And I know there's so many channels on YouTube now that are all about purpose. I love them, man, because I think that it's such a big thing these days, man. If you're lacking purpose, you can have all the the money in the world, all the materialistic things, all the money, the cars, the materialistic things, but when you don't have purpose, it's very tough to continue doing what you're doing. And that's why it's you want to do something that's a little bit challenging. It has to be not overwhelming. Like most things in life, it's about moderation. You can't find things that this is way above what I want to handle or even enjoy doing. Okay, and this is just too easy for me. You want something that's kind of right there, right? It's just like the gym. If you pick up weights that are easy and too light, you're not going to see as much hypertrophy, right? You're not going to get those big guns or whatever. I haven't been to the gym in a couple of days because I've been working ICU nights, and it's really hard for me to get anything else done. But I think, you choose really light weights, you're not going to see as much progress. You're not going to get as big. You need some resistance. You need a little bit of counterforce to try to build yourself up. Now, what happens if you use too much and the weights you use are too heavy? Well, obviously you get injured, and that isn't good too. That's going to hamper your growth. You're going to be out of the gym. You're not going to build anything. So the key in order to build yourself is to give yourself enough of a reasonable challenge that you feel is giving you the ability to overcome an adversity. It's challenging you, but at the same time, you're not completely overwhelmed. That's the best area. That's the best area for growth, and that is where you want to be. That is my suggestion for you guys. Whatever your career may be, get good at it and find something that you find to be a meaningful, moderate challenge for you. That's my personal opinion. And again, you might disagree. You might say, well, I want the easiest thing I can do. Hey, I understand, but I'm just telling you, you might not find a lot of purpose if that is the route you choose to take. So some of the things that you'll be responsible for in the ICU, you have to be able to rapidly evaluate, diagnose, and manage patients who are quickly decompensating. They're critically ill, so you have to be able to quickly figure out a treatment for them. Obviously, you have your attendings on standby that you talk with and everything, but like one of the big things is like rapid responses at night. So if a patient, they'll call a rapid response, and they have the hospital, I think every hospital is different, but like our hospital has a designated rapid response team which will respond to that. They'll go evaluate the patient. Sometimes it'll be things like, hey, his blood pressure is really low, or his or her mental status has gone down really quickly, and you have to try to figure out, okay, what is it that's going on? A lot of the things that you look at, okay, what kind of medicines was this patient given? Was there any like pain medicines that sometimes lower your drive to breathe? That can be a common thing. Sometimes it could be like their sugar is low. You have to get a glucose check, look at all their labs, some of their imaging. You have to find out what's going on. And with that brief interaction, you have to be able to quickly look at some notes and try to synthesize, okay, what's going on? What can we order? What can we do from here on out to try to figure out what's going on, figure out and get to the root, and then also stabilize the patient as he or she might be transported to the ICU. And so that decision-making process is something that takes a lot of confidence and time to get good at. But like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get. During all this, you have to have appropriate clinical decision-making skills, and you have to be able to communicate well with other people, because again, there's a lot of other people that are going to be in the room, and you have to figure out what is it that we're going to do, what do you think might be going on, what do you think that the next best step might be. And it does require effective communication, I would say. You have to be able to talk to the families as well of the patient if there's something requiring them to, they're quickly decompensating, or let's say, if the patient codes on you, which means cardiopulmonary arrest or their heart and lung stop, you can try your best. That's when you do the CPR. Now CPR is the thing that can save lives, but you also have to understand with CPR, once a patient codes, technically that patient is dead. Really, when you're doing CPR, you're trying to bring a dead person back. The outcomes, most of the time the patient isn't going to make it, but on several occasions, they will. So it's one of those things also where when you do these, when you run into these code situations, you have to figure out, okay, we have to call the family, we have to get some information. What do they want to do? A lot of times they'll say, okay, well, the patient's been through enough, let's pull the plug, let's call it, and the next best thing is to let the patient just pass peacefully. Okay, some other things with ICU that I would say are different than just being, on the general floors are obviously the procedures. So, we put in a lot of central lines, which allow you to deliver medicines that you couldn't do through the peripheral vasculature. We do intubations, so if the patient stops breathing or he can't breathe on his own, you put a breathing tube down and connect it to the ventilator, which breathes for him. You guys might have seen this in a lot of COVID patients because it affects the lungs pretty bad with an ARDS pathology, which really messes up the lungs. ARDS sucks. You want to avoid that at all costs, but it's just like a systemic inflammation, and there's a bunch of we call it like pulmonary edema in between the alveoli, and that ability to exchange gas in the alveoli, it's impaired. Obviously this video is not meant to be medically in depth or anything like that. This is just kind of me generally giving you an overview of things that you see in the ICU, but also arterial lines, so you can get a good monitoring of a patient's blood pressure at constant levels. That's another thing we do in the ICU. The drugs are obviously a lot different. You're using things like vasopressors and a lot of different sedation drugs when these patients are completely out of it. Your medicines are a lot more different, a lot more potent too. So now I'm gonna go back with my interns down there. They're in a different room. So we're probably gonna hang out there, wait for any other admissions, any other calls, update the sign out for the day team. And yeah, that's the plan for now. So let's go ahead and I will see you guys there. So basically, I'm starting to get a little bit tired about this time of the night. So essentially, we have had a couple more rapid responses. However, the patients weren't unstable enough to bring to the ICU. So I'll show you, we have some call rooms here. Let's see if we can get those in the shot. And as you can see, this is like what an example of one of the call rooms might look like. You got a little bed over here. You got the sheets out there. You've got television. Now, I don't typically come over here because most of the time we don't really have any time to be here, but I thought I would just kind of give you a walkthrough and show you how it is, that it is available for us. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to doing some more work. I'm gonna follow up on some more labs, some imaging, things of that nature. So, all right guys, I'll catch up with you in a little bit. All right guys, so it is now 6 a.m. I have, again, pre-rounded before my regular rounds on all of my patients now. Went over all the morning labs, morning imaging. We've kind of done everything now, including sign out, printed sign out for the day team with all the updates on everything that's happened overnight on the entire list. And now we're just waiting to get with our attending, and then we're gonna round one more time together. And basically we have sign out after that, and then we're done. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so I am just now finishing up with sign out, and so now that's the end of the day. And now I'm gonna be driving home, and it's hard, man, because you wanna like get other stuff done. I mean, I feel like with nights, the nice thing about it is that you don't have the same social work as you do in the day. You don't write progress notes on everybody. Basically, you just kind of take some new admissions and then make sure the people who are there aren't, super, super sick. But I mean, by and large, I think it's a lot harder on your lifestyle outside of, when you're actually working. I like the peace and quiet at night for sure. But yeah, it's just hard to get anything else done when you're working nights. I mean, if you've done it, you can probably imagine. It's just like you come home and then it's like, well, I'm a little bit tired. I don't really know if I can, make it to the gym at this point or do anything else. It is tougher, but at this point I've only got one more night, and then I'm gonna be transitioning back onto days. And so yeah, that's the plan. I'll let you guys take a look at this view actually. It's nice. It's a kind of a foggy day, foggy morning right now over in Vegas. Okay guys, so that basically finishes up this vlog. I hope you enjoyed. It was the first for me because I haven't really vlogged, and I tried to do it in a, kind of a, it's difficult because I have to be kind of in a room, isolated. I can't, do it too much while, I'm in the hallways or things like that. They're crazy about like these patient privacy things. So anyways, but I hope that me talking about it maybe gave you a little insight into it, or I answered some questions at least throughout the vlog, and you found it to be a, somewhat, entertaining or useful or just fun. So as always, man, make sure to support the channel and like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, keep being a boss.